Friday to you. It is January 14th and time for this week's Friday Funnies. And in case you haven't heard, the fine politicians from my state of Illinois saw fit this week to raise our state income tax by 66.66%.
Ouch!
I did the math, man. That's almost 2/3. They claim that the state needs more money to pay their bills. Well, I say if the state needs extra money, let them get it the same way that average citizens would. Sell some of your stuff. When an average citizen wants to get some extra money, they hold a garage sale. So I think the state ought to sell off some of their extra assets. For instance, start off by selling naming rights to every street and highway in the state. Personally, I would shell out a couple of bucks to rename my street One Way, just because I think that's funny. Then from there, they could sell the state slogan, Land of Lincoln. I happen to think that the state of Nebraska would pay big bucks for the rights to this little sobriquet. Instead, they decided to just stick it to us, the taxpayers. So even though I am going to be paying more taxes this year, I want you to know that the Friday Funnies will still be coming to you absolutely free. Because, I'm writing off about $10,000 a week in production costs anyhow, so it's a win-win. That said, here are this week's free funnies and our top stories. Well, it could be worse. We complain a lot about the taxes we pay in this country, but over in Romania, officials have decided to start taxing witches. Yes, witches. Apparently they have a lot of witches and fortune tellers in Romania, and now they're going to have to fork over 16% of their hex and soothsayer income. The witches are up in arms about these taxes and have threatened to turn the politicians into leprous frogs, at which time then they would qualify to be elected officials in Illinois. It's time now to bring back one of the Friday Funnies favorites, and that is the Dumbass of the Week Award. I firmly believe that criminals are among the stupidest creatures on earth. Granted, when they're in the joint, they get free food and housing and they don't pay any taxes, but still, they are a few eggs short of a dozen. I have 3 examples this week for your edification. Dumbass number 1. In Great Falls, Montana, Jonathan Gonzalez was stopped for a traffic violation, and when he knew he was in trouble because he had 3 outstanding warrants for his arrest. So what did he do? He told police that his name was instead Timothy Coop. What he didn't know is that Timothy Coop also had an outstanding warrant for his arrest. So they arrested Mr. Gonzalez anyhow, took him down to the station, and that's when he confessed that his name was not actually Timothy Coop. He said, "My real name is Mel Gibson." Dumbass number 2. John Finch in Wilmington, Delaware got drunk and broke into an unoccupied house. Since nobody was home, he stayed 3 days, and he consumed 3 bottles of gin and 2 bottles of whiskey that he found on the premises. His problem came when he was ready to leave because he was so drunk he couldn't find his way out of the house. So what did he do? He called 911 for help. Now, when the 911 operator heard his inebriated plea, she said, "Hey, come on, is this Mel Gibson?" And Dumbass of the Week number 3. A robbery suspect in Gilbert, Arizona has been dubbed the $60 bill bandit, because when he tried to rob the Gilbert Bank of America, he told the teller that he wanted all the money in 40s and 60s. Now, since U.S. currency is not printed in $40 or $60 denominations, the teller asked him, "Would it be okay if I gave it to you in 25s? And the robber said, "Sure, I'm just using the money to pay my taxes anyhow." Our final story this week is about the devastating floods down in Colombia. Aid workers in Colombia have been accepting and distributing supplies to the survivor of a recent series of terrible floods. In addition to food, water, and blankets, this week the donations included a thong, a tiger costume, and a wedding dress. When the relief worker opened the box containing these donations, he said, "Oh boy, now the survivors can put on that R-rated production of Beauty and the Beast that they've been dreaming of." Hey kids, that's all I have for you this week. Next week we'll be coming to you live from beautiful Las Vegas. Until then, have a wonderful weekend. Have a great week. See you next Friday.